During lockdown, my sister was furloughed for the whole of the period of lockdown, and she came across an Asset Academy advertisement on Facebook about learning about property investment. So she decided to have a look at it. And then, because I'm the accountant in the family, she's like, Jen, why don't you come along with me? Because she got 2 places on the course. And we came out of that and just went, do you know what? We could do this. We've got houses that are almost paid off. There's equity in them. We can release equity. Let's go and do this and create passive income for our retirement.
I also have a holiday let with my dad, so that's something kind of separate, but we Airbnb that.
I kind of heard that the cash flow perspective from a flip or a service accommodation is better than a straight buy-to-let. So as I've learned the buy-to-let route, I've kind of got the confidence. So now we're looking at possibly getting a serviced accommodation.
All of the cash it makes, I don't touch it. That's just any money the business makes, it just sits in the account, and then eventually it buys 2 more or 1 more. I don't rely on that money monthly. The plan is, I don't want to be working when I'm 45. I want to be finished work, and then eventually give it to let my kids take it over, and let them have the leg up that I had as a child.
Well, I've shifted a lot of my entire portfolio is in a limited liability company, and then there's a trust that's attached to that. So I've got also inheritance planning and all of that as well attached to my property portfolio. So I intend to build up and then have legacy planning for the future generations.
I've got an agent who I'm personally very close with, who looks after the management of all the properties for me, because as I say, it's not my main business.
So I have local agents that I deal with. I also deal with the local housing authority, and they're always keeping me up to date on regulations and changes. I've got friends that are mortgage brokers and IFAs that always keep me in the loop on new products and new variables that are happening. And I do spend a lot of time worrying about the tax situations.
It doesn't feel like a partnership with the lender. It feels as though it's very us and them, and they are asking questions, and it seems as though you're in this situation where you're answering it honestly, but sometimes you possibly inadvertently say it in the wrong way, and that can be misinterpreted, and that can come back to you and be a problem.
Paragon are good because what they do development lending as well. That's how I met them. And then when they were quite good, their rates were good. They were offering the full package on development lending. And then again, obviously, because we moved them onto a buy-to-let as well. So yeah, but overall, I think, yeah, they're good. But the problem is the transition between the development and the buy-to-let wasn't that smooth. It's like, even though it's the same company, it's like the one team wasn't in correlation with the other team, even though it's still part of Paragon.
It's difficult for, our tenants. You don't really want to be coming back to them all the time, and we don't get a good press anyway. So it's just feels a bit of a difficult time ahead. There's uncertainty and so on. If you feel that it's more of a partnership and that they are trying to make things better for you or make it easier for you, then that is a positive, I would say. I mean, whether that there's a bit of a trust, how are they using any information that you give them? I mean, I don't necessarily feel that I've got because at the moment we don't have a relationship with the lender. It's through a third party, so it is a different concept, really. It's not a way that we've been used to working.
If they can make the process a lot more simpler, then it's a real gain, I think.
The relationship manager bit of it, if they can introduce that, where we get to kind of relate with them, they can tend to understand us, and they make life easier for us, then I think that would be a plus. But like Simon said, I don't really have any relationship with Paragon. They're just a tool. They just lend me money, and that's it. It ends there.
Any medium where we can talk to the bank and have a nice sort of relationship.
I believe Paragon probably are a bit more thorough and they need more documentation.
I think, to me, what's interesting is that this is the first time I've been approached by a mortgage company to ask what I think. So I think I'm sure maybe other mortgages, mortgage providers do the same things, but the fact that I've been approached by Paragon to do that sort of tells me that they are interested in what they can do to provide a service to me.
with the bank that I use, they actually have a relationship like manager person, and they'll text you and be like, hi, like if you need anything, you can contact us, and they'll run through with you what, like, I don't know, the latest, I don't know, credit card deals are. And actually it's probably one of the reasons why I would stick with someone like Paragon if they were offering that service, because especially if this is something you do on the side, you just want your life to be a lot easier. So yeah, that would definitely sway my decision to stay with the particular lender if the cost was, you know, sort of marginal, maybe was a little bit more, but I felt like I was getting that added service.
If they can give us a relationship manager and a portal, then they can just keep in check with us, and it gives us an extra feature of just tracking things a bit more efficiently.
When I bought them, there was an underlying, what do you do? Oh, I'm an architect, I've got a good salary coming in. Okay, Paragon were very comfortable with that, because if there was if there was a void on the property for a month or two, they knew that I'd find the funds. Coming up to retirement, when I remortgage, what do you do? Oh, you're retired. Okay, so I'll be very interested to know what Paragon think of that scenario. But someone who we could have a confidential off the record chat with, and I would have to believe it was off the record. Don't know how you achieve that. What do I want? I want that, I guess, the ability to have an honest dialogue about where I'm going in the future. Undoubtedly within the next 2 years, well, definitely in the next 2 years, my 2 mortgages finish. I will almost certainly go back to the same broker and see what she can do for me. If Paragon were keen to stay, to keep me on board, they can see when the mortgages end, they can write to me, they can say, by the way, this is what we've got on offer, you know, so they could be proactive in doing that.
People are creative and want to make money and don't just want to be stuck in the trap of being frightened to have a discussion about what they can do with the property. Paragon themselves, like Mike, I pay the mortgage every month, never a problem, so everything's very quiet and I have no problem with them as a company at all.
In the next few years, I'm going to want to sort of know whether I can continue to expand or whether I'll have to sell or whatever. I hope I don't have to sell. I want to carry on, and so therefore, when I've got my financial situation is a lot better now anyway. But it's good to have like a few years of evidence of that. And by that time, I'm hoping that there will be some flexibility regarding what they can offer someone of my age.
When there is a need, it'd be good to be able to speak to one person and not to be passed to 100 different ones. That might be probably more efficient.
From an ease point of view, I think having all mortgages, not that we've had to call them really, but having all mortgages in one place with a company that you know how they work, you know, you don't really have to have much interaction with them. Whereas I think you kind of go into the unknown every time you take it, you start dealing with another company, don't you? So you don't know what the customer service are like, what they like to deal with if you have any issues. So I think it's good to deal with what you know, just from a lazy point of view.
From sort of Paragon's perspective, you know, getting it, I imagine it's probably easier for them to keep business rather than attract new business all the time. So you'd think, you know, that there's got to be some leeway there in terms of being able to, you know, give better rates and offer incentives for keeping good customers.
Relationship manager side of things is a good idea, and you know, I think it could grow from it, and it'd probably do them some favours. The online dashboard side of things is not something I'd get any value out of, and I'm not too into oversharing all my data with them, because I'm not saying they would, but say you put everything on there, your yield drops below 5%, say, they might start ringing you saying, oh, you know, you're at risk or whatever, we don't want to deal with you anymore. I'd rather have my private information kept private.
I would very much value a relationship manager that, just one person that you can just build up trust with, and who can get to understand what's possible, what you want to do and what's possible, and what can be offered.
I think, you know, if you develop the relationships, you have those relationship managers, if you can do the
the switch is online quicker and easier, then I'd certainly more likely to stay with the company.
I think that an informal chat every now and again wouldn't hurt, because I think it can be a lonely place sometimes being a landlord. I do think that it would be good. I know you did say before about staying away from legislation, but I do think banks should be a little bit more involved in supporting landlords with getting involved in it, because you're going to lose literally hundreds of thousands of buy-to-let landlords are going to exit the market because of the legislation. So Paragon is going to lose a lot of business because of the legislation. So perhaps they should be campaigning to have Section 24 reversed. I think if banks got involved in that, it would be very helpful.
If we're talking blue sky thinking, is to have that relationship manager and self-service mortgages.